Hello everybody, welcome back, and today we have yet another Power Rankings, day before Overwatch League Season number 5 comes out. We're super hyped. We are going through 10 through 7 in our Power Rankings. We got our first 10, and now we are going to look at these top 10 teams, the ones that are going to be really fighting for playoff spots and really contending for the very top of the Overwatch world. So, we're gonna get a bit controversial coming up here. So, strap in. Here we go. Number 10, our runners up from this past season, the Atlanta Reign. This one probably gonna surprise some people, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't see it the way I see it. You lose a couple of your best players. Speedily is not going to be available, at least not right away. He is not 18 yet. He's extremely talented, and I think is going to give them a boost. But you look at OG, Ultraviolet, mainstays of the Atlanta Academy before, in contenders. I think they're going to come up and play pretty well. You got Gator, you got Hawk, very solid tank line. You got Nero and Kai for DPS, as well as Venom. And like I said, you got Speedily, who I think is better than all of them, to be perfectly honest. But you lose Pelican, and I don't see how you lose him and get better, to be perfectly honest. I think their support line could potentially be better, but it's a bit of a risk. These are contenders players coming up, and we've seen, really good contenders players come up and immediately make the transition and be dominant. And we've seen some of them come up and not really pan out. So I just can't put my full confidence behind this team because I don't really know what I'm going to get. Nero and Kai, they're solid. Kai's hero pool worries me a little bit. And Nero is a bit of a low ceiling guy for me, where he's produced, he's a good player. Is he going to outplay some of these top DPS players? We're in the top 10 now. This is where it gets real. These are the best players in the world. And I think that just with some of the changes to other teams, and with, like I said, their off-season moves, some of them are decent. Venom, sneaky good signing. Ultraviolet, OG, they've played together a long time. I think they'll be a solid support pair. But you lose so much star power. I just don't know how you, like I said before, I don't know how you get better when you have to get rid of Pelican. This is a mostly English-speaking roster now. So, maybe synergy will be a little bit tighter, but in terms of star power, they've lost some. So I got them at 10. I know, you can slaughter me in the comments. I think most people would have them higher. There's just something about it that, looking at them, I don't know. And it's not because they beat Gladiators last season in the playoffs. Like, I promise, it's not because of that. I have nothing against that roster. I just really, really like a lot of these teams that are coming up a bit more. With that being said, we arrive at number 9. This is a team that is a big riser, and that's Toronto Defiant. So, I think this is the best, the team that had the best offseason. They've improved the most. Twilight, superstar. Chorong, very good pickup. Haven't seen a lot of him. Like the Overwatch League audience hasn't seen him. He's going to be great. Hisu would maybe be my most improved player from last year. He had a really, really excellent season 4. Although really good player on London that kind of got lost in the shuffle, and the fact that that London was not very good the last few seasons. Very good. Hotba, again, an underrated tank player. Muse had a really nice season with Gladiators last year. I thought their best, the best tank that Gladiators have had in a while. I think he makes a good transition and is a good main tank for them. And Finale. I know some of you might not know a couple of these players. They're good. This is going to be a good team. And this might be a hot take. I don't think that Toronto is that high on a lot of people's lists. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at too many power rankings yet. But I think that Toronto is going to surprise a lot of people this season. A bit of a retooled roster. A couple of these players that are reunited that played on teams a while back. Twilight. Again, I think is going to be kind of the stable of this team. Didn't quite have some of the results that we thought when he was on the Shock last season, but he was in a bit of a rotation. I think now with him really being centered in that role, whether it's the Ana, the BAP, or Zenyatta, he can do it all. He's amazing on all of them. Again, I just look at this roster and I'm like, man, that's a really good player. Man, that's a really good player. Like, oh, okay. The coaching staff here is nice. I think that they're really going to surprise a lot of people early and make a nice run and be one of our upper teams in the league. So, I know, controversial one. People are probably going to think I'm insane for putting them above Atlanta, but that's where we are. They're my best team going in. And then we have number 8. Again, probably very controversial. That's going to be San Francisco Shock. So we don't see much of a roster here, so we're gonna look up them as well, so everybody can see what they've got. I still can't type. I don't have the ability, I guess. Wow. San Francisco Shock with the redesign. I like the colors. Oh, no, not here. All right, here we go. So we have pretty much a completely different San Francisco Shock team. They've got Violet. Other than that, it's all new. Super retired. A lot of the other players, scattered to the corners of Overwatch League. And while I do think that they've brought in a lot of good players, honestly, they would be lower on my list if they didn't still have Krusty. So, Kaluj, funny, they replaced Super has this crazy, persona, this great charismatic personality, super enjoyable to watch his streams, and they bring in another, pretty high profile American player, a controversial one in Kaluj. So Kaluj was one of the best players for a while, one of the best tank players in NA, maybe even the world. However, he got into a lot of trouble because of toxicity and just saying some pretty bad things, some pretty offensive things. But that was several years ago now. I know several Overwatch League players. The one that comes to mind right now is Dante, who have really come up and supported Kaluj, and there's a good amount of them who have saying that he apologized. It was years ago. He's changed now. Become a better person. All that. So that's fair. In my opinion, that we have to be able to give second chances. And apparently he's proven that so far. Hopefully he continues to prove that. Kaluj and his team were one of the pioneers. Apparently, who really knows who started playing what first? But his team was one of the pioneers of GOATs years ago, and we know how that kind of took off. So Kaluj is a really talented player. He can play the game. He's going to be a good replacement for Super. Of course, if he can stay out of trouble. But you look at some of the DPS. Proper, great pickup. Going to be one of the better DPS players right away. Kilo as well. S9MM. Don't know as much about, but it's a solid DPS line. And then from the supports, obviously Violet is a superstar. The best player on the team, one of the best players in the league. And then you have Finn joining him to round out the support line. So this is a good team. However, they're just, they've just been put together. So they don't have some of the synergy as some of the teams that are coming up in front of them. It's a good roster. It's not as absolutely filled with superstars as San Francisco from seasons 2 through 4. The 2019 and 2020 champions, I see them being good. They're going to push for a playoff spot. Depending on how they develop, they could be really good. Again, you have Krusty as a coach, you have 9K as a coach, two of the, the most, highly regarded coaches in the league. So I think that they're still going to play very well. But they're just not going to quite be that dominant top form where it's like, who the hell can beat these guys? Like, they're too good. So we have San Francisco coming in at number 8. So, number 7, we have another NA team, and that is going to be the Houston Outlaws. So, looking at the Outlaws, this is a pretty nasty roster. Pelican and Dante, yes please. Merritt, yup. Piggy on tank, one of the best tank players last season. Iris, again, for Atlanta, that's tough. Letting these two go, that's tough. And then you bring in Big Dick, Sex, Lastro. One of the funniest moments a couple years ago in Overwatch League with Lastro saying that in the all chat, and getting in trouble for it, of course, but just a legendary meme and moment in Overwatch League lore. But, I mean, this roster, it's pretty much got everything. This is Outlaws' best chance to be a playoff team. They should finally do it. The fact that they've never made playoffs is pretty crazy, considering that they're, one of the few OG teams to not do that. But, I mean, just look at the roster. What more can you say? I would probably have them a little higher if they had more playtime together and or if this team had more success, because team culture, and the GM and the head coach, that stuff does matter. It's not talked about as much, it seems, in Overwatch League, but it matters. It's very important. So this is a team that could be poised to make a leap into the top 5 or even top 3. I think they're probably 3rd or 4th in terms of just roster. I wish they had one more tank to kind of fill that main tank void, because I don't know, it almost feels like a lot to have one tank and to ask them to be able to cover every single hero to an elite level. So we'll see if they make some kind of move to round out their roster in that way. But for now, Houston looking pretty darn promising going into season number 5. So there you have it. Those are power rankings 10 through 7. Next up, we're going to go 6 through 3, and then we'll finish off with 1 and 2 in their own separate video. But there you have it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Are these power rankings getting worse? Are they getting better? Let me know what you think. They're pretty out there. I went for more big swings, more drops, more risers than I have in years past. So again, always curious to know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Hopefully you guys are excited for the new season as much as I am. But thank you very much for watching as always, and we will see you later on today for Power Rankings number 6 through 3.